Okay, so let's start with this. Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today for this webinar in the topic of automated invoice processor. This is our latest product. First of all, let me introduce my colleague and myself. My colleague is Balázs Lukács. He's a senior ERP consultant with more than 10 years of experience at our company and around 20 years of experience in the world of Dynamics, NAV, and Business Central. And I'm Bertal Nagy. I'm the partner manager of Multisoft Ltd, and I'm responsible for international partnership relations. So if you have any questions or you are interested in any of our products, please feel free to reach out to me directly. And if I can't answer your question, probably I will involve Balázs. So as usual, we will start with the quick partner news. Today it's quite short. We have a major hit, let's say, our big bang for 2024. This is WMS Mobile Navy. We will do a pre-release webinar on the 14th of May. So if you are interested in Mobile Navy and especially in the warehouse-related functionality, I highly recommend you to register, even if you can't participate, because we will do a recording and we will share the recording with everyone who registered, and we will only make the recording available on YouTube, probably at a later phase. Our second partner news for today is a workshop again related to mobile navy. So we really are focusing on mobile navy and all the warehouse management related aspects of it currently. So that's why we are organizing a mobile navy workshop as well. So we are calling all partners to action. So feel free to reach out to us if you are interested in a free let's say interactive training, like a couple of hours long session where we can tailor the topics to your needs. First of all, we will investigate what the majority is interested in, and we will organize these workshops around these topics. It's gonna be a series, so we will do multiple workshops, of course, and everyone who participates in these workshops will be invited to our private LinkedIn group, so you can have knowledge transfer between partner and partner to partner. And of course, our experts will be available there as well, just as you can reach out to us in an email. Okay, that's about the partner news. Now let's jump into our topics for today, which is the automated invoice processor, or the abbreviation of it, AIP. Again, this is our latest product. We have released it last year. Let me bring our story into it. So how AIP was born and how we came to a point to publish it through source. So basically, a couple of years ago in Hungary, we had the obligation to send all invoices through a web service to the tax authority, and that was first a one direction requirement, but later the tax authority opened the other direction as well. So all invoices where we are the payees, or the company or the client is the payee, can be downloaded from the tax authority, and so you will have that structured data available to use. That's up to you what you do with it, but we thought that's something interesting that we might be able to use to prepare the incoming invoices. And so we've created an interface, and we made available all these invoices in BC. So that's how AIP was born, but we needed to do something with that data because, okay, that's there in our database, but how is it any good for us? And so we first started to create rules to do something with that data, but soon we discovered the limitations of this approach to handle the different cases with rules. There were a lot of rules. I'm not gonna lie, that was very heavy to follow. And so we looked for alternative solutions on the internet, and uh, that's not gonna be a big surprise. We found two separate possible directions to go from here, and these were either machine learning or AI. And there is a slight difference between machine learning and AI. We choose the machine learning because basically with the help of machine learning, you can train the machine, so the machine can learn how you do things. So it can learn about your habits using your historical data available in your system, presumably. And so we figured that we can leverage that and make suggestions based on your historical data, how you should handle your incoming invoices. So what AIP is capable of at the moment, we can download or we can get any data. I will later on show you alternative sources of data, because currently we are still talking about the Hungarian approach, and we figured this is something might not only interesting for the Hungarians. So we introduced different data sources. So at the moment, what's AIP capable of? We can let's say, create a possibility or certainty for and preparing the incoming invoices based on how you do that in the past, how you trained your machine learning to handle these invoices. You can set these thresholds, like it's acceptable or it's not acceptable for your business. What's the prediction of the machine learning, and so you can act accordingly. Of course, if that's acceptable, you mean that's something that you usually do, and based on that you can proceed to posting. And if that's not acceptable, you set the threshold, then you can take further actions. Okay. As I mentioned, there are different data sources available for AIP. So let's separate the core application, which is the machine learning, and based on what we create the incoming invoices from the data source. And the data source can be anything. Of course, again, in Hungary, that's quite straightforward. We have this XML structure data that we can download from the tax authorities, but there are certain other data sources that we can connect to. This is the EDI, of course. So if you have like suppliers or buyers who use EDI already, and so you have that, or even if you don't, but you want to in the future, we can use that as the data source. The thumb of rule is that we need some sort of structured data. OCR is also something that can provide you with that structured data, and of course any kind of XML source, like an Excel sheet, or I don't know. It can also be your data source for AIP to load the data into BC, and so our machine learning model can start working with that. I just wanted to show you our app source page. So we have quite a few products here, but as you can see, we have the automated invoice processor. Well, I'm sorry about that. So the automated invoice processor application itself is here. We have an OCR connector. By default, we can work with Kofax. That's how they used to be called, but currently they changed names, so they are going by Tungsten Automation. I hope I pronounce it correctly. So by default, we are connecting our OCR with that. You can use their solution. And of course, we have the connection for the Hungarian localization, which is also our own solution. But again, the solution itself, licensing-wise, contains the base application and the connector. So if you are using AIP or want to use AIP, the base app and the connector is in the price. So even if you want to use a different OCR connector than Kofax, or if you want to use an EDI solution to do that, we can create the connection, the data source connection for you. Okay, and the licensing, again, so these are in the price, and everything else is based on either a posted line, either it be a purchase invoice or a purchase receipt line. The price differs based on that, or we can also license AIP per posted document. What I have to emphasize that the cost of the EDI and or the OCR data source or any other data source, a third-party provider is excluded from the AIP license. So either you can because we are a Kofax or Tungsten Automation partner, you can get their licenses through us, or you can contract directly with any other provider, and so their fees will be handled separately. Okay. Now let's see how it works. Well, I will jump into the presentation shortly. Please feel free to ask your questions. There's the chat function for it. And at the end of our webinar, we will have a Q&A session and we will address all questions there. And yeah, enjoy. Let's see how it works.
Thank you, Bertrand. I share my screen. Is it working? Yes. Thank you. So, first of all, let's see how this process works. First of all, I send invoice, a PDF invoice, to our OCR provider, and then I can show you 1 or 2 minutes later that it has arrived into our system. So first, I open a new email. We have a email address to our provider, and I just simply attach my test invoice it, and without any further ado, I send this email. Yeah, and we will see in a couple of minutes in PC this invoice as well. Okay, so regardless the data source, we import the incoming invoices into our incoming invoice tables, and then we start the matching. First, we define the supplier. based on the text number. If we don't have the supplier in our master data, then we will have a chance to add this supplier later. Or if we have a duplicated supplier, then at a later phase we have to select on which supplier we want to post this invoice. The next step is we define the currency code from the invoice. Then if there are any item number in the item lines, then we search in the item cross-reference table to find our item number. Then if we have any rules, we run the rules, because as Bertrand mentioned, we can preset rules in the system based on the text of the invoice, the description of the invoice, or based on the tariff number. And we can set, if the text is this, then the GL account we have to post to it will be that. So we can set rules, but if we have a lot of suppliers with a lot of different item lines, that it would be a big work to do this. So that's why we can use the machine learning function. And in the process, the next step, we run this machine learning function. We have model for different fields in the line. We have a machine learning model for the type, line type, as if it is a GL account or an item type, or maybe an item charge. The next is the number, the GL account number or the item number, and so on. We have the next model for the unit of measure code, because sometimes we have to post the invoice in a different unit of measure than as it is on the invoice. And the last model is for the VAT product posting group, because as you know, on the invoice we have only the VAT percentage, but for posting an invoice we need a VAT product posting group. And the last step is if there are items in the line, if there are items on the invoice, then we try to assign receipt lines for the item lines. Okay, and then the next step is the validation. We can have errors and warnings on the invoice, so the system collects these errors and warnings and set the status of the invoices. Here in the top row, you can see different ties with different statuses. The first status is I show you, it will be the open status. The next is the verified with warning, and the last is the verified status. So when we process an invoice, automatically we can have these three types of statuses. So let's see an open status invoice. Why it is open? It is open, for example, when we don't know the supplier. The supplier is missing from our database, then the status will be open. As you can see, in all our invoices in this demo database, the header is verified, so we have the supplier for all invoices. But there can be other causes for open invoices. So I just open an invoice, and here in the right side you can see this box, the incoming invoice errors. You can see why we have errors. we have errors for line number 1 and line number 2, and the error is missing number. Missing number means that the system doesn't know to which GL account number to post. It is because if I click on this button, you can see that the prediction result or the probability of the prediction is too low. It is only 12.9%, and we set in this demo database that under 20% probability we don't want to use this GL account, and it is better if we leave it empty, if leave the number empty. But in the settings you can set higher or lower percentages for this probability. We have the same problem for the second line. The probability of this of the highest probable GL account is too low. The user, of course, can select here from this list, this predictions list, or can select from the list of GL accounts. And if it is a open status invoice, of course the user has to do something. They have to select an account, because we don't go further with this invoice unless they do it. Okay, so we have some errors, but we also have some warnings as well. We have a separate box for the warnings. Again, we have warning for line number 1 and line number 2. Let's see. The probability of the VAT product posting group is less than the acceptable 60%. Yes. So we can set not just a minimum percentage for the probability of the predictions, but we can set also an acceptance level. As you can see, here is the VAT product posting group. It is in yellow. That shows that it is below this preset 60%. I can click on this button, and we can see that this VAT product posting group, the probability of this posting group is only 33.1%, and we got this warning because of this low percentage, and the same as for the next line. But the major problem here, why this invoice is open, is because we missed the number, the GL account number. Okay, I show you verified with warning status invoice. Yes. In the meantime, we got the invoice from our OCR provider. I sent this invoice to our OCR provider, and it is already here in our incoming invoice list. But I show you another invoice for you. As you can see on this incoming invoice, there is no errors, of course, because it is already verified, but we have some warnings. We have warnings for the first 4 lines with this text different VAT percentage. We got this warning because the VAT percentage on the invoice is 27%, which is the normal rate in Hungary. But the machine learning suggests that we should post this invoice with non-deductible VAT, so with 0% VAT. But it is pretty sure that we should use this posting group because the probability is 98.9%. %. So we have this warning, but of course we can ignore this warning. But if it is really not correct, this posting group, then we can modify here as well. Okay, I show you another invoice with warning. Yeah, we have again probability warnings for line number 1 and line number 2. And as you can see, on the number field, the first two lines are yellow, means that we have warning, and the third line is green, that means that okay, that is okay. So let's see the probability percentage. Yes, for the first line, the probability percentage is only 55.7%, but as I mentioned earlier, we set the acceptance level to 60%. So that's why we have this warning. The same for the second line, and for the third line, 60.5%, so it is above 60%, so that's why it is acceptable and we don't get any warning for this line. But of course, the user anytime can modify here the values, the type, the number, the unit of measure, or the VAT product posting group. And on the third tile, on the verified tile, we can see the verified invoices, which means that we don't have errors nor warnings, so all good. But still, the user may modify here the number, the GL account number, and so on. The user may modify everything here. Okay, so how to proceed? Of course, the user has to do something with the open status invoices, have to add the supplier or add the account number or the item number, and then click on verification, and in that case, the open status invoice will be verified or verified with warning. So we can go further with the two verified status types. And the next step is we have to create a purchase invoice, because we will post the invoices in the purchase invoice page as usual. We have 3 different options to create a purchase invoice. The first option, we open here the list or the card of the invoice, and I click on the Create Invoice button. And the new purchase invoice will be created automatically with the data of the header of and the lines we could see here earlier. So all the data came from this imported and AI used incoming invoice. We have the link here in the related incoming invoice status to our tables, to our incoming invoice page. So we can go back and check everything here as well. But now we have here an unposted purchase invoice, and of course, before posting, we can also modify here the invoices, because the accountant should use the correct values, and if it is not the correct, if these values are not correct, then the accountant should modify these values to post on correct GL accounts. Okay, I don't post this invoice because I think you already saw how to post in BC a purchase invoice. So I just close it and I show you the next option, how to create a new purchase invoice from our incoming invoice module. I go to incoming documents because here we get all invoices here in the incoming invoice documents we got from our OCR provider. So this top one is the invoice I sent to our OCR provider. As you can see, we have an attachment, the invoice is in an attachment, so I could open it. And we got this XML back. That's why we sent to our OCR provider to get back the data in an XML format. So here is the XML file with the data of this invoice. And yeah, and this until here, this is a standard behavior of BC, standard function. And what is in our connector? In our connector, the system sent this XML file to our incoming invoice tables, and then we can process the data there. Okay, but even if you don't use OCR, for example, here in Hungary, for the Hungarian invoices, we don't need to use OCR, so that's why here no incoming invoice or incoming document created here automatically. But even if it is not created automatically, the users can create a new record here manually in this incoming document function. And after they selected the vendor number, they can drill down on the vendor invoice now field and select from the unposted, unprocessed incoming invoices of this vendor. So we have a little modification here to select from the incoming invoice list. And then we can create the purchase invoice by pressing this create manually button. Okay, and the third option, how to create a new purchase invoice, as I go directly to the purchase invoices, I create new, I enter the vendor or select the vendor, and here in the vendor invoice now, as you know, usually it is a plain field here. We have to type here the vendor invoice number, but not here. But not here because now we can drill down again in the vendor invoice number field, and we can select from the list of the unposted incoming invoices of this vendor. So I click on the invoice. Yeah, I import the incoming invoice, and I again got the header and line details of this invoice from our incoming invoice tables. And of course, I can modify here as well, and then I can post this invoice. After we have posted the invoice, the invoices will be archived, we'll get an archive status, but we still can check these archived invoices under this tile. And sometimes it happens that we don't want to post an invoice. So we got an invoice, but we don't want to post it because we send back to our supplier. In that case, we can manually archive an invoice with the button. We have the archive button. So instead of posting we can just archive the invoice manually, or we have another option that the invoices, the unposted invoices will be archived automatically after a predefined time. And I can show this in our setup page, and I show some other fields on the setup page. So we are here in the incoming invoice setup, and as I mentioned previously, here is the settings for the archiving. In this demo company, we archive unposted invoices after 2 months. But what else here in this setup? For example, here we have to set up the machine learning URL. The machine learning server can be on our server, as you can see here in this case. It is on our server, but it can be also as Azure function, so we can set it as an Azure function. And as you can see, we update the model every day and recreate the model every 7 days. That means that if we post new invoices, the machine learning will be able to learn from these postings as well. So if we post more invoices, our machine learning will be more clever. Okay, and I show you this machine learning setup. Here are the models we use, mostly for the lines, invoice lines. As you can see, here is the type, here is the number for item, the number for GL account, the number for item charge, and the VAT product posting group, and the unit of measure codes for the different types as well. Yes, and here you can see the training data we used to train our machine learning or AI. As you can see, we used 88,000 lines, invoice lines, to teach our machine learning, because it was not so hard, because here in Hungary we could download the invoices of the last 3 years from the tax authority website, so it was pretty easy to use so many lines to teach our machine learning model. But if you use only, for example, OCR, then it will be a little bit harder to teach the machine learning, or it will need a little more time to teach the machine learning. But we have a function that you can send already posted invoices through the OCR connector, and the machine learning will learn also from these invoices and how we posted it in our system. And I think that's all what I wanted to show you from our system. So, thank you.
So I'm taking back the screen. We will continue with our Q&A session. We've received 3 questions already, but if you have any in the tank, just let us know. Let's go in this order. So Is it possible to use a different OCR solution? That's our first question. Let me jump back a few slides. And yeah, so by default, we are using the OCR connector for tungsten automation. That's true, but of course, we can connect to any other. And if you jump to the licensing part, so the license, if you use AIP, it will by default contain not just the machine learning part, but also the connector. And we provide you with the connection to any OCR or EDI connection. So that not necessarily has to be COFAX or tungsten automation, but it can be any other as well. I hope that answers the question. Now jump to the second one. Balázs, I think that's one for you. Can I customize the acceptable percentage, or these thresholds are built in? I think that you touched that part during your presentation, but can we jump back to that part? You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I can. We can customize it. Maybe I can show you because maybe I forgot to show it. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So here in the machine learning setup, here are this prediction minimum prediction accuracy level. I set it to 20%. And here is the acceptance accuracy level for I set it to 60%. But of course, you can modify it to any percentage.
Okay. So that means we can be more strict or less strict, depending on the actual scenario. Okay, we have a third question, as I mentioned. How long would it take to implement? Balázs, you have any estimation on that, or every case is different?
If you don't need a new connector, you go with the existing connectors. It is only a couple of days. We recommend it that first we put this extension only into a sandbox environment, so you can test it there for a couple of days, and then we put it to production, and you need some training, couple of hours, and then you can use it. So it is not a big deal.
Yeah. So anyways, if you need a precise quotation for the implementation, feel free to reach out to us, and we will take a look at the individual cases, and based on that we can start a discussion. I don't see any further questions coming, but if you still have more, here are our contact credentials. If you need any further information, or if you have any question, just drop us an email, or you can visit our website. You can find all our products there, not just AIP. We have forms, so if you have any requirements or questions, please feel free to share these forms as well, and we will contact you as soon as possible. So yeah, I think that concludes our webinar. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope we will meet at our next event. Don't forget about that. That's WMS Mobile NAV, and that's our big hit for 2024. So have a great rest of your day, and I'm looking forward to your emails. See you guys.